So great fight night. Again, if you guys are missing out on the fight nights, please do not. Because in First and 10, the next segment right now, actually, we're going to talk about the UFC Fight Night that's coming up on Saturday. So this Saturday, main event, Curtis Blaydes versus Alexander Volkov. I'll get into that in a second. But I do want to go through all of the fights that are happening in the main card, kind of talk about where they stand as far as betting odds, as well as just some interesting facts about each of the fights. So right off the gates, Jim Miller versus Roosevelt Roberts. Now, I don't think I actually did a review on the fight night where Roosevelt Roberts faced Brock Weaver, but Roosevelt Roberts literally just fought 3 weeks ago. So he's already on his next fight 3 weeks later. He's fighting 2 fights within 3 weeks, and this time he's going against veteran Jim Miller. It's a 160-pound catchweight fight, and Roberts is 10-1 going into the fight. So we'll see. Again, the last time we seen Roberts, he pretty much beat the hell out of Brock Weaver on May 30th and put on an absolute display. Right now, Roosevelt Roberts is minus 230. I'm thinking, I would crush the 230, the minus 230 for sure. I think this is a fight that Roosevelt Roberts should win, and I think he's good enough to where, he's not going to get upset by Jim Miller. So I think Roosevelt Roberts is good money right here, minus 230. Next fight, Belal Muhammad versus Lyman Good. This one, both of them have a solid record. Belal Muhammad 16-3 versus Lyman Good at 21-5. So both of them have a good MMA background as far as experience goes. Belal won the last 2 fights and lost. His last loss was to Jeff Neal back in January 2019. So that's not anything to be ashamed of. Jeff Neal is actually a good fighter. So Belal's trying to get back into, or he's trying to extend his winning streak to 3 fights. And he's actually the favorite. It's almost a pick 'em. So Belal Muhammad is minus 130. And I believe Lyman Good is actually even. So whatever you bet is going to be, that's what you're going to get back. So that one, I don't know. That one's a pick 'em. For me, it's too close to call. It's going to be a good fight. So I would definitely check that one out. But I don't have an opinion on who to put your money on that one. Raquel Pennington versus Marion Reneau. So Pennington is actually trying to get back into the winner's circle. Her last fight was against Holly Holmes, and she ended up losing. Reneau is also tough as well. I believe she beat Jessica Andrade, and it was years ago, but it's still a name on her belt. And I actually think this fight has potential to be the fight of the night. Again, the likeliness of that happening might be low, but again, I think this fight has potential to be fight of the night. For this fight, I know Marion Reneau is the underdog, and you're getting plus money with her. I would actually probably go with that. I believe it's plus 120. Raquel Pennington is minus 150. If I'm looking at this fight and someone telling me to put money on it, I'm going plus 120 with Marion Reneau. The co-main event for this UFC Fight Night is Josh Emmett versus Shane Burgos. And this one is likely to be fight of the night. Like I said, the last one has the potential to be fight of the night. This one is likely to be fight of the night. You got 2 up-and-coming fighters that are, ready to take each other's heads off. And I would just say sit back and enjoy the fight. The winner of this fight is going to position themselves very well in the featherweight division. So, again, this is likely to be fight of the night. Make sure you guys book it. Now, you're saying, hey, this is a co-main event. How is this likely to be fight of the night? Because in the main event, which I'm going to talk about right now, it's a heavyweight fight. Heavyweight fights are hard to get fight of the night, especially when you have someone getting their head knocked off in the first round. I expect this co-main event to actually go to distance, or at least a few rounds of competitive fighting before someone goes down or a winner is determined. Heavyweight fight, I'm expecting that one to go no further than the second round. So speaking of the main event, Curtis Blaydes versus Alexander Volkov. This one is actually Curtis Blaydes is actually big favorite in this fight, so he's minus 380. I don't like that, putting money on that. just because it's heavyweight and anything can happen with heavyweight. And Alexander Volkov is a tough fighter. This guy is very difficult to fight. Again, he's very lengthy, experienced heavyweight fighter when it comes to striking. And I believe the first time I seen him fight was versus who was it? I know his nickname, the Black Beast, but he was pretty much winning that whole fight, and then in the last 5-10 seconds, he gets caught right on his chin and gets knocked out. And this is Volkov. Curtis Blaydes, his last loss was Francis Ngannou back in November 2018. So there's nothing to be ashamed about there as well, because Francis Ngannou has pretty much, heavyweight, he got a semi-trucks, on the end of his arms. You get hit with one of those and you're going to sleep. So Curtis Blaydes actually got KO'd by Francis Ngannou. Again, there's nothing to be ashamed about there. Francis Ngannou does that to everyone. But Curtis Blaydes, his last fight was very impressive where he KO'd Junior Dos Santos. But again, Volkov is very dangerous. I believe he's plus 200. So again, when it comes to heavyweight fights and you have, lopsided opportunities like this, when it comes to odds, it's always a safe bet to put it on the underdog, especially if it's plus 200 or above. Curtis Blaydes, I expect him to win, but again, for the odds that are there, minus 380, that's a little too much for me. Betting money would be smart to go on Volkov's side, even though, again, it's Curtis Blaydes is a big favorite on this one. So that's the UFC fight. Again, if you have been missing it, do not miss any more UFC fight nights. They are excellent for your Saturday night. Again, I watch them on Saturday nights, and I enjoy every single one of them. ESPN Plus. Okay, I got to keep saying this. ESPN Plus. You guys need to hook me up, sponsor the podcast. No one talks about ESPN Plus more than your boy Chuck It Up. The podcast listeners will tell you. So, for all the ESPN execs listening to this podcast, hook your boy up with a sponsorship. Appreciate that. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for more fire sports takes. And for those of you who are on the go, make sure you subscribe to our full show, which airs every Thursday on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and a bunch more. Until then, I'm chucking it up, and I'll see you guys next time.